We're wrapping up our look at how certain sectors could perform under a Trump administration. We want to take a look at the critical issue for voters this election, which included housing affordability. Our next guest says that seniors are the secret key to the market. 60% of all homes in the U.S. owned by people over the age of 60, and that is a 60% increase since the year 2000. Joining us now with her outlook, Meredith Whitney Advisory Group's CEO. Great to have you on here. So obviously seniors are staying in their homes for longer. What reaction function could the policy look like to navigate the challenge that presents for home affordability?
Well, I think what is happening is, so 60% of U.S. homes are owned by seniors. Under 10% of U.S. homes are owned by households under 40. So the affordable housing is occupied by seniors who are aging in place and want to stay in their homes for longer. What that means is that I think a big push, and what you're starting to see out of Housing and Urban Development and other federal agencies, is a push towards aging in place more safely, more affordably. So I think you're going to see, instead of first mortgages be the big active market, second mortgages and home equity lines of credit, home equity, shared home equity investments, and you're going to see a big upgrade cycle with seniors aging in place. What that means for affordability is, I think you're going to see new homeowners continue to struggle and stay renters for longer.
Meredith, when it comes to some of the past predictions that you've given, a 10 to 20% decline that you're expected to see here in home prices, when you come to factor in the Trump era policies or what that could look like when it comes to deregulation, when it comes to tax cuts, how does that then influence the trajectory that we're going to see of home prices, and maybe how quickly we could see that drop?
Well, I actually think, whereas I thought home prices would have to decline because seniors would be forced to sell, affordability across the board, particularly for seniors, is difficult because you've had cumulative inflation from higher homeowners insurance, higher property taxes, and you see seniors really struggling. So in fact, seniors have taken out more debt at a faster rate than any other age cohort, and now they hold 44% of total home equity outstanding. That's up from 19% in 2004. So you see seniors really struggle. So I think that having them be able to tap into their equity is going to be something that the Trump administration really pushes for. And there's 35 trillion of equity, and over half of that is tappable. So I don't think there's a lot that can be done because there aren't a lot of affordable options for seniors. Only 1 in 10 seniors can afford assisted living. So if you're on Medicaid, you can go into nursing homes. But if you're not on Medicaid and almost 90% of seniors are not on Medicaid, their options are much more limited. Until you get those seniors to move, which they're not doing, the affordability factor then rests just with new home build. And so the administration can focus on that. But I think the easier route for the administration is going to be focused on this incredible amount of money that seniors can tap into that will aid with aging in place.
I do want to pick up on what you just mentioned, though, about new home build. And one of the policies that could be a headwind for that is the crackdown on immigration in particular. How are you thinking about the impact that specific policy could have on the price of homes moving forward?
Well, there's no doubt. And I think that, the cost of building, the cost of land is still incredibly expensive, and the cost of labor is really expensive. And you nailed it. So one of the biggest challenges to home building and renovations is finding the people to do that work. So I think the administration should think very seriously about immigration. And what they want to do is make sure that immigration is legal, and it seems as if they're focusing on just deporting criminals. Now, that's a small number of immigrants. There are a lot of immigrants that are, the majority of immigrants come here to work hard and create a better life. But the labor is a problem across the board. Labor is also a problem, getting back to seniors, at home health care providers are largely filled by immigrants. And so we have to have a very, very strong immigration policy to encourage immigration, particularly for skilled workers.
Meredith, how critical is that just in terms of if you take a step back and just overall just effectively encouraging new construction and implementing that in a way that is that works and is viable going forward? How critical is that in the piece of all this, and ultimately what that tells us about the timeline, quote unquote, on trying to solve the housing crisis right now?
I think the timeline, this is why I focus on like realistic options. The timeline on new housing build is long, and a lot of that is land-based. And I was just with a delegation from Nebraska looking at manufactured housing, doing a manufactured housing tour. And manufactured housing is cheaper than stick-built housing any day of the week. But the problem is, if you factor the land in, that's where it gets really expensive, let alone the labor that we were talking about. So one government program is to deed over government land, federal land, state land. States own a lot of property that they are not fully using. They shouldn't be asset aggregators. There are going to be options there. So land is a big factor. Labor is also a big factor.
All right, Meredith, Whitney, always great to get your insight here, especially taking the time here on Yahoo Finance. Thanks so much for talking to us here this morning.